That's the beauty of autism, or the difficult thing, depending on how you look at it. But you have to know what each kid needs. And every person's individual, but every person with autism, that's like even more.
Mostly what I see at Fruitville is this collective efficacy that happens on their team.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Hi.
Hi, can you say good morning, Mrs.
Okay.
Good morning.
Go to tea.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Occupational.
Yes.
This collective efficacy that involves the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the therapists, anyone who is supporting that child. What does this one individual child need? It's all about what standards can that child address, how can we make that child succeed in every level, socially, emotionally, and then succeeding with content at whatever level they can succeed.
Can I have 3 goldfish?
Well, here at Fruitville for our communication, we use Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS, and that's those little pictures that you see posted everywhere. It's a mode or a means for kids to initiate communication. That's the main goal of PECS, is because our kiddos will just as soon ask the bookshelf for something out of the refrigerator as opposed to the person who's providing the goods. And this PECS program gets the child to initiate talking to a human being.
Can I have cookie?
Yes.
I have a tremendous staff here. So they're wonderful teachers, wonderful paraprofessionals here, and they're the rewards for me because it's seeing smiling faces on students doing the right thing. I was in some rooms yesterday and seeing kids making those strides with those resources, using their PECS boards, using the different kind of communication tools, and then actually when they can communicate themselves, that's the reward. And actually accessing, depending on where they are, accessing the curriculum on their level is huge.
So we're always, striving for whatever works for that child. But for most of our kids, because they're visual learners, we go with pictures. And even for one of the children that you saw, we went and used clear plastic, little squares like window boxes, shadow boxes, because the pictures didn't mean anything to him. And he's a kid who really struggles with that. Once he could see the actual object through the plastic of the square, he learned to pass those, and he's so much more successful. But I think what you saw is a balance of, balancing sensory integration constantly. If you see a kid who is looking like they want to maybe a little bit, what looks like a self-harming thing usually is to help them meet that sensory need. So I'm trying to give him firm input to his body. And lots of times when you jump, that speaks to your TMJ, your jaw, and that's what makes you want to put things in your mouth. So I'm trying to give him a lot of input and speak to this part of his body so that he can mouth us. What do you hear? Do you hear your toy?
So we have a variety of students in my classroom. I was lucky to have all kindergartners this year, but they do have a variety of needs. Eyes, nose, mouth. You made a teacher. So my friend who was drawing on the window was actually doing a reader's response. We had read a story together, and she loves to draw. And so drawing on the window is kind of a special, novel way to express what she was reading. Well, I'm a kindergarten teacher, so we are all friends, but we're also working on many social skills with this young age group. Many of them want to play independently or have never really had a friend. Most of the time you can ask a 4 or 5-year-old or 6-year-old, because some of them are 6, who's your best friend? And they'll give you several answers. Sometimes it's even mommy, and not many of my students could say that at the beginning of the year, maybe 1 or 2 out of the 7, but I really think now that they would be able to name each other. And so being a friend is a part of everything we do all day long, and social skills are infused into every single activity we do.
Good job, Grayson.
If you're scared, say oh no.
Oh
If you're scared, scared,
Come on, Alex.
say oh no.
Oh, yay, Johnny.
Scared, say
Oh no.
say
Oh
scared, say oh no.
Because these kids are just incredible. They make me laugh and smile and cry every day. And not that you couldn't get that in a regular pre-K class, because there are antics in there, I'm sure, that just will, blow you away. But autism, I have what you need to do it. And so I do.
Are you a bird? Where do you live? Where's your habitat?
In the birdhouse.
Lily. Where does Lily live?
At Mommy's.
At Mommy's house. Good job. That's your habitat.
Mommy and Marilyn.
Mommy and Merlin live in your habitat with you. You're right. I think having family on the spectrum and also being a teacher helps me look at the child as a whole person instead of just focusing on the academics. I think it helps me approach them as like, how can I make them a well-rounded individual, not just I'm here to teach them these standards. Because a lot of what we do here, we're teachers, but we're also, or our mom, a psychologist, a mentor, the list can go on and on. We wear all different hats.
Swinging in a linear motion, back and forth, side to side, is good for calming and organizing the body. And some children who need to be alerted in the morning need to have more boisterous swinging. But when it's hung from a single stance such as that, it interacts with their brain much better than if it's just a regular swing out on a playground. And so we try to go side to side and back and forth with them. All of this is just to help them become alert. If they're high energy, it helps them get rid of excess energy. If they're very sleepy and don't want to wake up, it's great for helping them to be alert for the morning. Excitement is the best way to get a child talking. Karen West, who was in here previously, she's one of our wonderful speech therapists. She did the grant to get this motor room for us. And part of her thinking was, and I've known this through hippotherapy that I've done too, when you get a child moving and sitting up straight and breathing and they're excited, they're going to talk. In fact, that's why teachers have a hard time. If a child's moving around in the classroom, they can't stop talking. Talking and moving while you're working helps you really to learn better, but it is a bit disruptive. But for a speech therapist or someone who does what I do, we want our children talking.
All right, you ready? Stand up. Hi. 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 Nice.
I'm a playful person, I love to play, and I love relationships. So when I got my first kid with autism in graduate school, and he didn't want to play with me, he would rather stare at the blinds and flick them back and forth. It broke my heart so much that I thought, oh no. And at the time I didn't have children of my own, so I could dive in. And I dove into autism with like 2 hands, 2 feet, a head, all of my time and effort. And so autism broke my heart enough. But pulling someone out of autism was so juicy.
One little finger, and if you're happy and you know it. Oh, good choice, right there. It says,
I
want
to
to
sing.
When you're on this journey as a parent of a child with autism, you start out hearing a lot of what's wrong or nothing's wrong, or hearing a lot about what your student can't do. and you know what your child can't do. And so when you come to an event like our Lighted Up Blue event, and you see that your child gets to stand on stage and sing just like every other kid gets to do in elementary school, then you see your child being a child before they're a child with autism. And it's very easy in the world to get lost under the word of autism because it just impacts everything you do. And so they get to be a kid who's singing a song on the stage for their mommy and daddy, just like every parent who's proud of their kid on stage, but it's even bigger because you're doing something that maybe someone said once that you would never talk, and you're up there singing.
I picked that song and I practiced it with the kids since last year because to me that song is so happy and joyful, and we could use different tools, and I'm constantly getting kids with autism, you know, I want them to use things like a flag. I want you to wave your flag. I want you to ring your bell. I hear parents say things all the time like, I didn't know he could do that.
And I think the biggest part was they all know how the other parents feel. So it's a kind of a giant group support that we're all here with a special needs child and everyone's cheering for my child up there. And I was even crying because all those children, even if they're not in my OT sessions, they're my children because I'm in their classroom and I've seen them since they were this big or yay big, and I've seen their accomplishments and I know their teachers. So the parents weren't the only ones crying that night or with tears in their eyes or bursting with pride. I think everyone was.
And that's what it was all about, is really for those parents to be proud because, again, they've been told so many times, so they can't do that. So here it's can't do that yet. We're getting there.
I think one of the most important things that I would like people to know about people with autism is that they're more than capable and more than able. And every dream that a parent has for their child before they hear the word autism, they should continue to have those dreams. It's pervasive in the nation. 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism, but it's also amazing what we can accomplish and how children can grow. So we need to keep looking at them and seeing them as children and expecting them to grow and develop while at the same time meeting their needs. But they're kids first, and they're totally able of doing amazing things, and they will.